Everyone, we are back from Doral, Florida at the Age Management Medicine Group Symposium Conference. I have to tell you, every interview I get more and more excited because every person that we've had the opportunity to interview is everything that we've talked about on our show for 6 years now, about being proactive, about looking at inflammation, about taking your life in your body and saying, you know what, something does not feel right. I want to be better. I want to be the optimal side that I can be. So we are here through the courtesy of Boston BioLife and the Age Management Medicine Group, AMMG, and we're interviewing some incredible physicians and researchers and products that are on the market. We've got Dr. Edwin Lee joining us, a board-certified anti-aging and internal medicine. And here's the kicker, endocrinology, and that is something rare to find, an endocrinologist that believes in HRT and anti-aging. So welcome, Dr. Lee.
Thank you very much. It's a privilege.
Joe, you want to start?
So Dr. Lee, tell us how long you've been with age management and some of the things you do in your practice and how you think it benefits you and your patients.
I've been involved in this field of medicine for about 13 years. I was in conventional endocrinology 10 years prior. And I saw the writing on the wall that this is just Band-Aid medicine and not looking at the root cause. And I attended AMMG meeting in Las Vegas, and I was very quiet about it. Kind of wanted to see what these closet endocrinologists were doing. And I came back so excited, told my wife I saw the light and I really want to pursue functional medicine and try to get to the root issue. And I think this medicine should be called effective medicine.
Well, let me ask you, because we're talking endocrinology, we traditionally known as thyroid disease, hypothyroidism, hyperthyroidism, and diabetes.
Correct.
You give a pill, a Synthroid, Cytomel, insulin, metformin, look at your labs, and they go on their way.
Right.
But there's so many other confounding factors and symptoms as part of these diseases.
Yeah, I recently saw a type 2 diabetic. Not that I want to see more patients. I'm super swamped. I closed my doors. But I saw a diabetic on a huge amount of insulin, and I saw 3 different endocrinologists, and I said, let's check your C-peptide, and I will basically put you on semaglutide, which is the brand name Ozempic. Let's reduce your insulin by half, see how it goes. Let us know what your blood sugar is. And I got him off all his insulin in, honestly, under a month, and he's lost 30 pounds.
Wow.
He could not even get his blood sugar with insulin under 200.
Wow.
And now his blood sugars are like under 100.
Wow.
And he's off his semaglutide, and he's basically doing active lifestyle. I encourage a plant-based diet, other nutrients to help with glucose control, and he has regained his life. He came in looking like he was gray, ashen, and it looked like his knees were ready to go into the grave. He could not even walk to his mailbox without getting short of breath. He's just doing phenomenal.
So what part of your practice that differs from other traditional endocrinologists, and I've been through many, because I talk about it all the time. It's not easy. They just send you, here's a pill, I don't like your labs. This is part, like we talked about, Joe, earlier, part of being 40.
Yep.
You're going to be tired. Part of raising children, you're going to gain weight.
Well, I have a wellness practice, so I optimize your hormones, but I also look at other things to basically see what issues you have. So I actually could get your biological age, see how old your cells are, see your rate of aging. I do so many different things that most conventional doctors never even heard of. We check for leaky gut, that can cause adrenal fatigue.
Wow.
We actually look at your oxidative stress, if you have DNA damage, cell membrane damage. A lot of people have mitochondrial issues. So you can't do this in 10 minutes. So it needs time. And then once you get that foundation balanced and you really want to get younger, good. I have the stuff.
He looks great for 125,
Yes.
right?
And I think it's important, too, that we realize a lot of the things that Dr. Lee's doing didn't exist. You didn't have the ability to look at mitochondrial function. You didn't have the ability to do simple tests to measure very important molecules in your body like peptides and hormones. We didn't have the replacement tools. We didn't have the delivery systems. We didn't have the imaging studies. We didn't have mainstream buy-in from modern healthcare. But, you know, you can argue whatever conspiracy theory you want. I tend to think it's more that it didn't exist, now it does. We know it doesn't work. 100 years of drugs and surgery have led to multiple epidemics, different diseases. Look at our autism rate, look at our Alzheimer's, look at our dementia, look at the things that are happening to affect us now. They're not the same diseases that affected us 100 years ago, 50 years ago. And it's a double-edged sword, because on one side we got new things to worry about, on the other side we have new tools, tests, and therapies to combat them. So in the interest of fair play, what I like to say is that, okay, you didn't know it then, but now you know it. But it's really up to the patient to be able to be the one that decides to seek out doctors like Dr. Lee. He's putting his time, talent, and treasure into educating himself by going to events, surrounding himself with the people, and they're in this room right now. Everything you need to be healthy and to live a better life and a longer life. So our most precious asset is our life. The most important part of that is the quality of your life. And what good is it to live to 80 if you're in a wheelchair or you have a debilitating disease? And really, patients need to know that this is something they can do. And like you said, with the insulin patient that lowered,
That's
you know,
remarkable.
and people have body fat and all these things that they worry about, and they're just like, well, there's nothing. You're not going to get that information from a regular primary care physician.
And what about insurance? Does insurance cover?
Oh,
any of
I'm a
these?
fee-for-service, so you can,
Nice.
we'll give you the paperwork, and you can submit to your insurance company. Some will be covered, most not. A lot of advanced testing is not covered. It's not FDA approved, but the science is there. So, and in regards to peptides that are regenerative, to basically turn the clock and to basically help you heal better and look better, the FDA wants to take them away. So I formed a non-for-profit organization called SavePeptides.org, and there's a petition, and I would love for you and your family and friends to all sign this simple petition. You could do it on your phone. You just have to put your name, your address, and basically sign it. Hit click, and it will go to your representative and your 2 senators.
And can they get that information from your website?
Yes, actually, SavePeptides.org. I'm not quite sure if on my personal website. I should put it on there.
We'll make it available. We'll make it available to people. It's a second now. It's
Well, let me ask both of you,
Sure,
for our viewers, what is a peptide
sure.
and why
Good
is it
question.
important?
So peptide is, like I tell my patient, it's a small little protein. It's made of amino acids. We have 20 building blocks, so 20 amino acids in our
23.
body. And if you put these amino acids together like Lego blocks, if they're over, like say, 10 amino acids in length, that's considered a peptide. If it's over 100, it's really big, and that's called a protein. So a peptide is like a small protein.
Okay.
Made of amino acids, and there are some natural peptides that our body produces, but we don't produce enough of it, and they are super amazing. I'm always impressed with them. There's a peptide called GHK, 3 amino acid peptide, and it can bind to copper, and it can make you look younger. It's a
Where do we
cream.
buy that?
GHK copper.
That's funny. I love it.
I love it. I use it and all that. But they have data that shows that if you biopsy the thigh, because no one's going to biopsy the face, and then a month later you re-biopsy the same thigh with using GHK copper, you have a 60% improvement in collagen.
Everyone's going to go out and
Yes.
buy it, but that's part of this
And
conference.
the problem is a lot of like these cosmeceutical companies, they will put a little GHK
That's
copper.
the key.
Right.
So if you want GHK copper, I mean, forget the other stuff. This is great stuff.
Do you have your own line of supplements?
I wish I did.
Next, that's coming
Yeah, you
next.
see a lot of scientific discovery in this field, and really, I've never heard of that, and I thought I was pretty well versed.
Oh, it's not only outer beauty, but it's also inner beauty, because it can turn off your bad genes, like cancer genes. It's truly
The
amazing.
GHK copper,
Yeah, inner beauty, outer beauty. I love it. I use it every day.
and people who want to get this,
You
see
can call
your
my
physician.
office. You can find me. Just call my office if you're interested in GHK copper. We'll mail it. Only in the U.S., not outside the U.S.
Fascinating.
Excellent.
And I know you want to hit a conference, so you
Yes.
want to give any information, your website?
We have this website up there.
Yeah, you have my business card.
All right, everything is there. Dr. There you go, Edwin Lee. And for more information, you can contact him at dredwinlee.com for this GHK peptide if you're in the Orlando area. The other thing that I find so interesting before we wrap this up is your fee for service.
Yes.
And you're full. So for physicians who say, I cannot be fee for service, I have to take Medicare, I have to take insurance, I need to support my family, you realize there are other ways.
I took a big leap of faith. In 2008, I was in a very large multi-specialty clinic, and I told my wife, I want to do this. So I started at the worst time, the peak of the recession. Everyone was going out of business, the building industry, the mortgage companies and all that. And I told my wife, I just need one patient. And I did ask her, like 2 weeks before I started, do you think I'll make it without accepting insurance, going to the hospital?
It's scary.
And not knowing any doctors because I moved into this area. And she goes, I don't think so. So I still have that knife. You see the knife?
I was going to say, you're still married?
Thanks. She goes, I'm your wife.
We all
I'm to be
need-
brutally honest.
We all
Not
need
that I
those
even
people
talked
to
to her about
motivate
that.
us by telling us we can't do something. And you know, an interesting insurance play, and I do get contacted by insurance companies that do want to cover these things. You're going to find an evolution, and every patient is their own. They're the holder of their insurance card. So if they pay $1,500 a month for their family, that money should be able to be used. We live in a death care management system, so you wait for you get a pain in your back and you go, you have lung cancer. You have this. But we know these comorbidities from behavior are managed. Most diseases present 20 or 30 years after they're actually happening in the body. So biomarkers, they didn't exist. So you look at the gene or you look at the RNA, but if you look at the protein, one gene makes 10 RNA, 10 RNA makes thousands of proteins. So if you want to find the wonky protein that comes from the bad gene, the one missing nucleotide, measure it in the saliva, the blood, the urine. And those tests didn't exist 5 years ago. And they're coming out every day. There's a new diagnostic test. And we have one of the people that are coming up, Robert Brooks, has one for cancer. He chucks 70 proteins on the outer membrane of exosomes with a point-of-care test. And literally anybody that's alive should be screening for rudimentary cancer cells because you have cancer, but it's all presenting along the path. What's
his name again, and what's the test called?
It's he chucks 70 protein test. He's right there. I'll introduce you. His name is Robert Brooks, but again, he's one of these people that doesn't know any better, so he's doing it. Well, it's possible, so do it.
And the overall of this is be your best advocate. And if you can't be your advocate, have your healthcare surrogate, your partner, your spouse. If you're not feeling that well, be your advocate and do the research. And I was talking to the physician before. She said we spend more time looking for someone to color our hair in good clothes than we do for the qualified physician to meet our needs. So do your due diligence. They are out there. And maybe there's a directory through AMMG and through Boston BioLife of some of the people here that we can connect with.
Well, the idea is to create the collective consciousness of people working the same vein. But in the insurance world, you can do your flexible spending. This stuff isn't crazy expensive. If you're on hormone replacement therapy, the setup is. But then, it's like $300 every, 10 weeks, depending upon what you need. And there's different ways to deliver it, and it has different effects. And but it's a pathway, right? And it's just the patient needs to be more empowered to know that they can have a role in this.
It's empowering the patient.
You don't just take what the doctor says, who's, may or may not know really the specifics
and
of who
I think
you
it's
are.
Fantastic that you've taken conventional medicine and finances and you've turned it around to help the patient and still do what you love to do.
Yes, it's a lot of fun.
That's what's amazing.
Yes.
So thank you so much for joining us, Joe. Thank you. We're going to take a little commercial break. When we come back, more with AMMG. I'm going to get this right. I'm going to put that right there in my
Age Management Medical Group.
Age Management Medicine Group and Boston BioLife. Stay tuned, and we'll be right back.